Hey guys, this is intended to be a tutorial for Dawn of War's mission editor. I originally started this quite a while ago and I found it very difficult to kind of get going from scratch. I found that there was an awful lot of things in intermediate and advanced level on the net, but there wasn't very much to get you going. So I thought I'd throw what I found out together into one quick video and get everybody started. So obviously the first thing that you're going to need is a version of Dawn of War. The version that I'm using for this tutorial is version 1.51, patched up to date. I also have the Winter Assault mod installed. You won't need to have that installed in order to use the development tools or anything, but just to let you know that that's what I'm using right now. So once you've installed Dawn of War, what you want to do is go to File Front and download the Dawn of War RDN development tools. They're in version 1.41 and there's two different types. There's the EXE only and then there's the one with samples. And you want to get the exe only. For this tutorial, you'll only need that one. It's only a small file, about 12 meg, and that's all you need just for this tutorial. So once you've installed that, it'll give you a new folder in your all programs. Damn screen recorder. If anybody knows of a decent screen recorder for Windows 7, please let me know in the notes below. But anyway, Dawn of War tools. Here we are. Once you open that, you'll notice there's an awful lot of different tools and editors and that kind of thing here that you can use to create various mods throughout the game. The only one that I'm going to be covering right now is the mission editor. So once you've actually opened up, you'll notice that you have a normal window and a debug window. In the debug window, it will show something like file path failure does not exist, blah blah blah. Don't worry about it. I've been running this now for quite a while and it doesn't seem to make any difference. So hit file and hit new. Um, Leave the file size on 256 by 256. It's a nice starting area. It's a good map to begin with. Keep the cell size on 2M because we don't want things to slow down too much, and keep the folder as my mod. I will tell you a little bit more about that later on as we go. So hit OK. And you should load up something that looks like this. Now my textures might look a little different because I have some stuff preloaded, but everything else, all of the tools and everything will be the exact same as your version. So you'll notice that the controls are the exact same as in-game. You use the cursor keys to navigate up, down, left, right. Hold Alt and move the mouse in order to rotate around, and then the mouse wheel to scroll in and out. And when you use the mouse wheel, you'll notice that there's this horribly persistent yellow fog in the background. And to get rid of that, you hit Control F, and then if you want to see the full map, you hit Control and K. And there's the full map. Much easier for modding now. So what I want you to do next is hit overlay and hit toggle overlay, or actually hit terrain type. So once you've hit that, you'll notice that there's this red area in the center of the screen. That is the actual game area. That's the area that you can actually use to make your level and that your troops can run around and build and that kind of stuff. The outside area is for aesthetics only. It's just to make the map look bigger. But you won't be able to use it. Now, don't worry, that red area is pretty big and you shouldn't have any difficulty making a decent map out of it. So hit overlay and toggle overlay to get rid of it. And the first of the tools that we're using right now is the selection tool, which is this one here, and all it is just a grouping tool. So it's fairly self-explanatory. The tool next to that, the object placement tool, much more important. If we hit that, we'll open up a window over here to the right hand side, and it gives us two folders, one environment and one races. For now I want you to hit races, Space Marines, troops, and I want you to pick the force commander. He's about 5th or 6th from the top. Just click and pop him in. You'll get an idea as to how big the map actually is once you've placed the force commander, because he's essentially a tiny little speck on the map until you zoom in. So once you have that, zoom in a little bit and then pick the evil librarian from the top of the list and kind of put him just above the force commander. So collapse that and collapse Space Marines, collapse races, and now open environment. Damn screen recorder. Now I want you to open up single player, I want you to open up gameplay, and I want you to hit starting position. And we're going to pop two of these down, one next to the force commander and one next to the librarian. If you want to rotate these, because the camera starting position when the level loads will be determined on whatever way these are facing, you just mouse over it and then hold the right mouse button and then just drag. It's a bit crazy to control, but you get the hang of it. So once it's kind of in a position that you want, we go back to the selection tool and we're going to select the force commander and the force starting point by group selecting. So I'm going to select the two of those, and if you look up here in the corner, it says owner of that is player 1002, which means that both of those are assigned to player 2. We want them assigned to player 1 because we want to be the force commander and start in that position. So what you do there is, with the two of them selected, you'll know they're properly selected because they have the little red grid in the center of them. Just go to the object placement tool, and you'll see over in the corner here beside player there's a drop down menu. Hit the drop down menu and assign it to player 1 and then hit set. And now if we go back to the selection tool, the two of those that are selected are now belonging to player 1001, which is now player 1 ourselves, which is great. So if we group select now over the librarian and the other starting position, they're actually down as player 2 from when we originally put them, all four of them down. So that's perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to use a different tool called the height map editor. And the height map editor is how you'll actually carve mountains and gullies into the map and make pathways and walkways and that kind of stuff. Most of the tools here are fairly self-explanatory, presets and the modes, the additive, subtractive and that kind of thing. So I won't go too much into those. The only tip I will give about using these tools is to use them very lightly. If you use them too liberally and create these massive, huge mountains, when you go to actually play your map, the camera is stuck. It's zoomed in quite heavily when you play Dawn of War. I'm sure as you already know, and the mountains can get heavily in the way of the camera, so you end up spending most of your time rotating all over the place. So what I'd advise is just to kind of put down a small bit and just kind of add to it as you go around. So I've just done a little circle around them here, and the shadows load in after you release the mouse button, so you can kind of touch up certain parts, and you can make them look a bit better. This is, as I said, just only a tutorial. It's a rough. The last tool I want to show you in the mission editor is the impasse editor, and once you click at this yellow icon here, you'll be given some options of passable and impassable and generated area. You want to hit passable for now, and that's on a decent brush side, so it's good. And then just paint the inside area of this kind of canyon that I've made here, and that makes that area, surprisingly enough, passable for all the troops. Go back in and hit impassable. I'm going to lower the brush size just a little bit and paint over the mountains on the outside, which basically makes it so that they can't move outside of this area. Now I'm only doing this fairly rough. When you do this yourself on a big map, you really want to pay good attention and detail to this, because you can create dead areas and you can wreck your skirmish maps very easily by not doing proper pass and impasse detection. So zoom in, rotate around, make sure you get all different angles and stuff like that would be the tip that I'd give it. So once that's done, we've pretty much finished this map now. We're just going to go up and hit scenario and hit scenario properties. We're going to give our map a name, so I'm just going to put this in as test tutorial. And you can type a map description if you want, just save it as a map type, multiplayer map. Yeah, okay. And then I'm going to hit file and save as. Now, a lot of people seem to have difficulty finding the right directory to actually save their games into. As I said, I've already been running this on Dawn of War version 1.51, and my install here works perfectly fine saving it where I'm going to show you to save it now. But if you do have a different version or a different expansion, it might be slightly different. So what you want to do is you want to go C, program files, THQ, Dawn of War, my mod, data, scenarios, multiplayer, and then save it in here. Save it as something you'll know, and then hit save. I'm just saving mine as test tutorial. So that's it for the mission editor. Let's close that off, and now we're going to open up Dawn of War. I do hope this is showing up properly because this screen recorder seems to be pretty crap with Windows 7. So once you're in Dawn of War, you want to go to your game manager, and you'll have two folders available. You'll have your original Warhammer 40k folder, and you'll have your My Mod folder. If this is the first time you've run the Dawn of War since installing the ODN development tools, you'll need to activate your My Mod folder. So click that, hit activate, and then the game will make you restart. Once you've restarted, come back, go into Skirmish, and your map should appear over here on the left hand side. Just click that. You can change all your different options here as you normally would in a skirmish map, who you're playing against, what you are, what the AI is, that kind of stuff, and then just hit start game. The AI is actually quite good in the skirmish maps that you create by default. You don't have to do any scripting events, which is very, very good. They will start using their tech trees and building and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, my force commander is already going over and starting to attack the librarian, and the structures have been picked as the Eldar, which is quite strange. But that's it. Oh, it's worth noting as well that once you put a starting point down, it's by default you get a HQ and a servitor. I don't know if you'd want to change that, but even if you did, I wouldn't know how. So I'm just going to exit out of this here. And that's pretty much it. That's literally from the ground up, guys. There'll be more maps to follow and more tutorials, hopefully. So if you've got any questions, post them in below, and I'll leave a link to the development tools after the right hand side. Thanks, guys, and happy modding.